the car screeches to a halt. And he looks and he goes, "I don't think you armature."
Boomer is getting more and more frustrated with his plans.
And then I think he turns around and he looks at the three of you, like in the back, and he's like, "So, where do you come from?"
Before that, Oscar just turns back to him and says, "I am not equipped for existential questions."
Right. Yeah. He goes, "That's a big word."
Marco would say, "Where the hell did you learn to drive?"
He looks and he goes, he turns around and he's like, he's looking at you now, and he goes, "I learned to drive from Grandma. She best driver." And then the light turns green and floors it. And he's still looking at you guys. Like, he didn't even know it turned green. He just saw other cars going, and like he just floors it again, and you guys are like
he knows the timing.
Right, exactly. He just knows the timing by this point. So then he's like having this like conversation with you as he's driving along.
Hey Jordan.
Yeah.
While this is happening, I'm gonna make sure that my nav comp is synced to my data slab.
Sure.
So that all the roads and routes that we're taking are still being mapped.
Good call.
Absolutely, because you guys would have been lost as shit.
Can we just pay this guy to drive us everywhere?
I mean, yeah.
We'll be done in 2 hours if we just
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Just stay in the cab, drive us around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that after like a few minutes of like silence and he's like going on, do you guys engage with him while you're in this treacherous car journey? Because it's a wheeled vehicle.
Absolutely not. Margot's not talking to this guy. She wants nothing to do with him, but anybody else.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to say.
Margot's keeping from like choking him out and just driving herself. Yeah. That's what her current MO is. So
yeah. So I
think Oscar would reserve that until they got to their location.
Sure. Yeah. So we see you pull up in front of this hotel, which looks like in a time might have been a nice hotel, but now the paint's kind of peeling away and like the concrete is showing through. And throughout your drive here, I think you guys noticed that like, so when I described the buildings for Jesus, why can't I remember the name of shit I make? Wuhan. When I described the things for Wuhan, I described them as very clean, very orderly, very like low to the ground, so they're less affected by the earthquakes, etc., etc. These buildings are ramshackle as hell that you're driving through. You're clearly driving through like some of the slummy portions of the city, and they are basically strapped together with duct tape in some places. There is literal like wood buildings which don't even like on a TL4 planet don't even exist anymore. But there's literal like wood frame houses. And I think that it's pretty easy to assume for all of you, none of these buildings would be able to withstand an earthquake. None of them. Yeah. They would all just collapse instantly. Under like even the smallest of quakes in the general vicinity of them.
Oscar could knock them down if he just chose to.
Yeah, no, you absolutely could. Like, bullets are going to travel right through most of the walls. Like, you could slice through some of them probably with a sword. Like, they're really bad. And you see, however, there is a lot of people out, whereas opposed to the other city, there's a lot of people out. You see children, like, playing. In fact, you see children, like, trying to chase the cab sometimes, like, when you guys are at a stop sign. There's clearly some kids playing with, like, a ball, like, throwing it back and forth and, like, playing some type of game down an alleyway. There are a lot of like middle-aged people, middle-aged women mostly, like out like doing laundry, like by hand, like again, very not TL4, like specifically, like very TL2 even, type activities going on through the streets of like the slum area that you're driving through. But sometimes at like
Boomer's trying to figure out how this is causing an issue for the Juju group.
I bet you are.
Like how is this being a problem?
I bet you are trying to figure out how this is an issue for the Shushu group. That's a great question to ask yourself, Boomer. Perhaps you should investigate that. Anyway, so yeah.
Do we want to take like a mid-episode goal check? Because I would love to update mine.
Yes, in fact, I think I actually forgot to do goals at the beginning of our session.
Yeah, because like as we're going, I'm like, oh, I want to make that a goal. Oh, I want to make that a goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. First of all, let's do a quick check. Did anyone complete any goals real quick?
Yeah, so my first one was simply deliver Natalia to destination / prove worth to get more work.
Sure. Yeah, I think you've definitely completed both
since
of those.
we are actively doing the extra work, I would say I completed that.
Yep, I think that's a fair assessment. You can gain 300 additional experience for completing those 2 goals, for sure.
You said 300, you cut out for a second.
Yeah, 300, I'm sorry. For those 2 goals, are 150 each, because they're, again, easy goals, easy mission-related goals. 150 each, so you can gain 300 for that. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a drop off of the supplies at Westwind from last session.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Because you get a bonus because it was like an additional session of time, take 175 for that.
Nice.
Because it was like ostensibly a goal you should have completed in 1 session, but it took you 2, so I'll give you a little bonus.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Mine was similar to Matt's, where it was just make sure that she got where she was supposed to go safely.
Yep. Complete the mission grants you additional 150 experience, for sure.
Yep.
Boomer?
Nope.
Okay. Noted.
Yeah.
Take the long view.
So yeah, that should clear up some goals for you guys to do, and then you can update any if you so choose. So
cool.
let's talk. If there's ones you want to share, let's talk about them real quick, and I'll tell you if that's like a reasonable assumption.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you can look at my character sheet for the second one, which is a private goal still. My third is kind of in the works because I haven't heard anything back from Lucas about the shield.
Yeah, you probably won't until you get there, but until you maybe get back. Yeah.
Yep. And then the first, I'm simply going to make complete Natalia's directive.
Sure.
I've already got my kind of
Sure.
secondary thing going on here, and I think making a goal beyond do that thing Natalia wanted is probably over ambitious. So that's me.
Seems reasonable. Cool. But yeah, anyone else, again, you can add or change goals in mid-session however you want. Like I said, if you want to game the system and be like, yeah, I'm going to make the goal to get to the hotel, and then I'm going to make the goal to get to, get some food today. Totally fine. I'm going to reward very
3
tiny...
XP.
Right, I'm going to reward very tiny amounts of experience for that. But yeah, that's totally fine. You guys can change them whenever. Obviously, the larger goals that you keep for longer are going to be worth more in the end. And the harder ones, obviously. So, yes. Anyway, back to the game. As long as no one else had any questions on goals, yeah.
Nah, I think I got mine.
Cool, awesome. So yeah, you get to the hotel, and like I said, it's a little bit ramshackle. There is like a doorman. He's wearing a typical what you would assume like a future bellhop uniform, like a suit basically. That's clearly a little bit too big for him. And then upon closer inspection, you realize he's probably like a late teenager, and the suit is clearly designed for like an adult. And he just hasn't quite grown into it yet. It's a little bit long in the sleeves and a little bit. In fact, I think you see him push him up every now and then, and it's a little bit big in the shoulders, and it's a little bit long in the inseam as well. And you guys are dumped out, and Wong, who's the name of this driver, he looks at you before you get out, Oscar, and he goes, "Okay, robot, 10 credits."
Yeah. So Oscar gives him 50.
Okay.
And he says, "We may need you again. Please be available."
And so I think he takes the credit chip and he looks at it and his eyes kind of go wide and he turns back to you, but his eyes narrow again and he goes, "What are you doing here? This too much money." You try to bribe Wong?
Humans don't like money. I'll take it back. I'm sorry to have offended you.
He's like, no, I keep money you give me. What I have to do for this?
So Oscar is trying to patch this, and he says, we had a terrible time trying to find a driver. Please just be available.
Yeah, he's like, that's because Wong best driver. He's like, I stay in parking lots, and he like looks at it, he's like, 4 hours. You need more, you come get me.
So just to clear, what he, the intent with this is not to have him wait, but to say like, hey, if you show up quick for us again, like it's gonna be good for you.
Right?
I'm not trying to pay him to literally.
I understand.
He doesn't get subtlety.
I understand exactly what you are saying, Matt. I am telling you, he told you he's gonna wait 4 hours in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Because you paid for him for 5 hours, basically.
I just want to be clear.
Yeah, no, I know what you're going for.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And so he attempts to clarify, there's no need for you to wait. We will make it profitable for you if you show up quickly when we need you.
Okay, then he goes.
What's the name of this place?
It's probably the let's see. Oh, sweet Google. It's probably the Chung Ho Hotel.
Sweet Mama Google, don't fail me.
Yeah, it's the Chung Ho Hotel.
Okay. I'm going to look at Oscar. It's like, all right, amateur, whatever. This is what I need you to do.
The amateur.
Okay, Freud.
Yeah, I think he goes, fine, I go get ramen, I come back. And he slips the credit stick like in his pocket, and like, do you get out of the vehicle?
Holy crap! Margo was out of the vehicle like before he barely stopped.
Yeah. Right, yeah. You climbed over everyone else.
Everyone and was out.
I got you.
Out a window.
Yeah.
Oscar. So Oscar feels like he's made his point, and I think in that exchange he would have made sure to give him his compad number.
Sure.
And say like, thank you, please watch for this number.
Yeah, he kind of like looks at it, and like he pulls down his visor, and you can see there's like a ton like of like other like little data chips that have like numbers, and some of them like fall out, and he like collects them and puts them in the cup holder, and he like slips your like little data chip that he could plug into his compad or like to remind him or whatever, like in the little band that is usually used to hold other things besides data chips. So yeah, he's got it.
Sure,
he'll have it available to him.
That's all I intended, was to secure, hopefully, a ride out of here or a ride to other places quickly.
Sure.
Yeah, he gets out.
Yeah, so you guys get all your stuff, and you hear the tires squeal, and Wong takes off ostensibly to go get ramen and spend the 40 extra credits he received. Probably on also sake. Sake and ramen sounds good. In fact, ramen made with sake is probably what he's going to go get. So, you guys are standing in front of the Chung Ho Hotel, and the doorman, like, he sees you guys with all your weapons and all your baggage, and, like, you could tell, like, he was maybe, like, drifting off, like, zoning out, and he, like, pushes up his hat, and he, like, runs over, and he, like, tries to pick up all your bags at the same time, but he can't even, like, lift all of them.
No, Boomer does not let him anywhere near any of his equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like he's like trying to grab your bag, and he's like, no, I take, it's job, I take.
Dude, this is me every time I go to a hotel. I'm like, don't touch my shit. Like,
right. So then once he realizes he can't carry it all, he like runs back inside like to go get a cart, and you guys are free from him for a moment.
Okay, in the time it takes for him to get a cart, I've already strapped all my stuff back on.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm checking my computer to make sure that the data link between it and the navcom is still stable.
You have a straight line from the spaceport to the Chung Ho Hotel, which let's put that on the map.
What's really funny is there is an Indian-owned casino near Madison called the Ho Chunk.
Oh, really?
That's awesome. Yeah. In my head, every time you say that, that's what I hear.
I think that the Chung Ho Hotel is going to be down here. Cool. All right. So you guys going to go inside before the bellhop returns, I assume?
Yes.
Yeah.
Margot's gonna let him carry her stuff.
Right. Okay. Cool. Absolutely.
Of course you will.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold my rifle and my pistol, but he can take my bag. There's nothing important in that.
Right, yeah. So I think he comes back, and those of you that don't want your bags taken, you can keep them. But he picks up your stuff and puts it on, and he picks up your bag and uses all of his weight and swings it over onto the cart, and you hear clunk with all your crap in it. And then he almost horizontally pushes the cart into the hotel, and you guys enter through some doors. And when you get inside, it smells a little bit musty in here. Maybe the carpets got damp at some time and they didn't dry properly. A little bit mildewy, but not offensively so. Just that little tang in the air. And the guy at the front counter, it's actually a woman at the front counter probably. The woman at the front counter says, "Oh, hello guests. I am here to serve." And she as you guys approach, I assume, she says, "How many rooms for you?" And she's got a big smile on her face.
My assumption is Margot would be the first one to answer that question, which is why I'm not saying anything.
Margot's first put off by her sunshiny demeanor, but then she kind of snaps out of it, and she says, "I'd like one for myself. They can do what they want."
Very well. One room for the lady. And she you see her pull out a key card, because key cards still exist. She clearly makes it, and she slides it to you.
She just gives her a nod and takes it.
Can we have a connecting room, gesturing to the three of us and pointing to Margot, Gogo? Just can we get a room that connects to hers?
She kind of looks and she's like, yes. So one room for 3?
Yes.
Okay. And she again does 3 key cards and slides them across. And then she looks expectantly at you guys, but doesn't say anything else.
All right, bye.
Right. So you guys turn around to go leave, and she goes, "I hope my service was acceptable." She smiles again.
Did she tell us where the rooms were? What the room numbers or anything?
You've got a room number on your key.
Did she ask us for money?
No. Well, I think that's what she's doing now. Okay, bye.
I walked the room.
Oscar already tipped the taxi driver. So
Margot would turn around and hand the poor woman some money. Jesus.
Yeah, so you hand her a credit or 5 credits or whatever.
Well, she would assume one for her room and one for the gentleman's room.
Sure. Yeah, it's 5 credits a night.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so she takes the credits and she's like, "Oh, thank you very much. I hope my service was acceptable." And she smiles again, kind of pointedly at you, Gogo.
Margot does not smile at her. She just walks away.
For this planet, Oscar gave the taxi driver a obscene amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be a shocking amount of money to have him be available. So five a night is probably a pretty in terms of what these people consider, it's probably one of the ritzier joints on this side of the planet. Is that a reasonable thing to?
That is a 100% reasonable
expect?
Thing to assume.
Okay.
Yep. That is 100% reasonable. Cool.
So, yeah, I suppose I would just start making my way. Like Oscar would go and kind of do like a quick sweep of the rooms.
Yeah. So the
Probably.
rooms have a Boomer, much to your delight. They have a single wall jack in each room for like a data slab. They also have like a single like communication like phone that probably doesn't ring out, but it definitely would ring like down to the front desk or whatever. And that's about it. It's also got, I guess actually it also got like has got like a TL4 television, just like basically it's like a panel in the wall is actually like a TV. But I think the one in the boys' room, I think it's cracked and just doesn't work. And the rooms are essentially the state of everything else around here. They are kind of decrepit and broken. Go-Go, everything in your room works except for the lights. The lights in your room do not work.
Luckily, I have low light, adorable goggles.
Right, yeah, you can just wear your goggles around.
Obviously, she does.
And
Jordan.
in the boys' room, the TV doesn't work, and also you have to manually fill up the whatever would be like the receptacle, the waste receptacle in the bathroom.
Nice.
So Margot walks into the room, and you hear, if you guys are on the other side, the lock click to the door that connects the two of them.
Jordan,
Yeah.
can I do? I would like to make a security check to determine if there are any bugs that
Sure.
would be listening
With literal
in,
cockroaches that are in this hotel because... No, I'm just kidding.
digital and otherwise.
Absolutely. Go for it.
Cool. So is
With,
that's
wisdom.
that's a reasonable thing that I can
Yes,
I can
absolutely.
do.
Yep. With
Um,
wisdom.
Is there any way that I can justify Boomer's assistance? Like,
I
if
assume that Boomer
asked
would
him
assist,
to help
yeah.
me do a sweep.
Boomer, you would assist on this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Boomer, go ahead
Yeah.
and roll, and then if he gets above an 8 or higher, he'll give you a +1.
Cool. So yeah, just while you're rolling that, I probably pull Boomer aside and I say, we're
And I'm rolling wisdom
Let's-
security.
Wisdom, security. You said, yeah, security.
yeah. I feel like security would be the correct
Yes,
thing
I
for
believe
this.
you are correct.
Like surveillance systems
Yep.
and
Yep,
that.
for sure.
Yeah, I pull him aside and cool.
Yep.
I pull him aside and say, we should probably do a sweep of the room.
Yep.
He
So
is
you
helpful, and
You get an
then
additional
I
+1,
get-
and your difficulty is an 8 as well.
What's my difficulty
8.
cutoff?
Same difficulty as his roll. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Cool. So you realize that in every room, in your room because you can't see Go-Go's, in your room there is a camera in the far
Oh
corner of the room.
no! Like he would have made sure that this would have included hers.
Sure.
Like this is not a matter of preference here. This is Oscar doing his job. Like,
Sure. I mean, how recipient are you to that, Go-Go?
Go-Go sits in the corner with her goggles on and just her arms crossed and just watches him do it, and then locks the door when he leaves.
Sure. Yeah. So in each room, there is a camera that is not necessarily hidden. It's kind of like one of those black dome cameras in each corner of the room. And you can determine that neither of them are currently recording, but unless you want Boomer to like crawl up in the ceiling to see if they're even connected, that would be something that you would have to like, that Boomer would have to like actually do. And if they were, and you disconnected them, somebody would probably know. But at this time, you can definitely tell they are not on or recording.
okay.
And they also do not, there is no audio in the room. It would clearly just be a visual camera.
Okay. That's
Boomer's
all that
gonna go into the ceiling and see if they're actually
Sure.
connected.
Sure, roll me a tech post-tech.
They're just like those fake ones that you can
Yeah,
stick
that's what
on
I'm
the
envisioning,
wall.
right?
That's-
Just
yeah.
straight up fake fall off when you actually poke them, kind of a thing.
Intelligence or wisdom?
Intelligence is fine. It's knowing how a thing works, not looking for a thing itself.
You have no idea.
I mean, they have wires that come out of them into the
Wow.
into the ceiling.
I'm actually going to use my reroll.
Yeah, there you go.
2 1s on.
I can't have that on my conscience.
Just out of principle.
Yeah, that's much better.
There you go.
So yeah, so I think
I
how that
feel
works
myself.
is like you get up there and like you get like a flashback of the kiosk and you're like, shit, this technology is so utter horseshit that I may not even be able to determine it. And so you get a bit frustrated and you don't realize what you're doing. And you accidentally like almost pull a wire out and then you're like, oh, I have to focus again. And you look at it and you see that yes, they do appear to be connected to a CCTV network. There's no line that would determine whether or not they get ported out of the building. That would be base located in the security room. But yeah, you could probably disable that if you wanted to. Again, it would.
But we've determined that we can speak freely about.
Yes, there is 100% no audio.
Okay, so that, I mean, with that, Oscar's totally satisfied that they can discuss their plans in this room.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, Gogo doesn't appear. Yeah, Gogo doesn't appear to care about the plans, and she is resting, locked in her own room. What after all of this does Boomer, like the ride and dealing with the kiosk and all of this, what does Boomer say to the group?
You would see Boomer just as he comes down from the ceiling, brushing himself off. Takes
The
a moment.
asbestos and everything.
He takes a moment to just kind of center himself. Then you see he kind of cracks his knuckles. Looks at where his equipment is. It's like, okay, now to get the real work started. With actual equipment. And you would go over and set up his data slab, set up the navcom, look over at the Fortune, and just kind of like gesture for him to bring over the survey kit. And he just starts setting everything up. He's going to run the equipment from the hotel room.
Cool. Is there... So I guess, like, out of character, is it something as a group that we would want to do to try and, like, send someone out? Like, I basically bought a car for whatever we please.
Yeah, basically.
Hopefully for whatever we please. Would it make sense to send one of us or more than one of us out with that scanner to try and, like, collect data for you to... Because I know Boomer his intention is to try and, like, get some public works schematics or that sort of thing, but I think it would also be easy enough for Oscar, like, if Robot Man goes back outside and says he wants a tour.
I completely support this idea. I was actually thinking of doing this a little bit ago when we were still with the driver, but yeah, I think that would be the best course of action.
Well, my idea feel first, like... Jordan, how tall is our hotel?
It's probably like 4 stories.
Cool.
5 stories. There's a lobby level with some rooms, but then there's 4 additional stories. You're on the 3rd story.
And in comparison to the rest of the buildings in the city, how tall are we?
It's a little bit bigger than the rest of the buildings, but I think that you guys did drive by some ruins of buildings, or like some abandoned buildings. Maybe not ruins, but definitely some abandoned buildings that were as tall, if not taller. But you can see from your hotel, probably, and just because it's convenient, the window to your hotel probably looks over directly west to the government complex. It is massive and definitely stands out against the bleak black backdrop of the rest of the city. It's all lit up, and it's got walls, like actual like stone or maybe steel, you can't really tell from this distance, walls that like scale up it like maybe 20 feet high. And yeah, it's got searchlights and stuff like scanning the exterior and the interior. Based at this range, you're like, damn, we probably can't break into that place.
Yeah. So I'd like to go to the roof of this building with my binoculars and a comm pad.
Sure.
And I will explain to Boomer what I see, and he can input that information.
Sure, yeah, just to help out with the information gathering.
So we can have some landmarks and maybe triangulate some areas.
Yeah, sure, sure. And you guys do have you can use that basically to see like the at least the geography of this direct area, and then you guys like exactly what you said. Like you can use it to kind of base your assumptions or base your data to what would normally happen based on your knowledge of like how this planet works in general, which you gained from from your short stint in
the spaceport.
In Wuhan. Well, in Wuhan, you know how like the planetary like at like the how the tectonics like generally work here.
Yeah. And also while I'm on the roof, I would like to see if I could tell if there's anywhere in the city that has recently been hit by seismic activity.
Absolutely.
So should I roll for those things?
Yeah, I think that a perception check using wisdom is going to be required. Actually, using intelligence.
Okay.
Because like you'd be able to see things just fine. Judging whether or not those things are caused by seismic activity or like what the landmarks mean, that's going to be intelligence.
Whether it's seismic activity or abject poverty.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. An 8's pretty good. An 8 will be a success. So based on your evaluation of the roof, you probably stay up there like an hour or so. Based on your evaluation from the roof, it appears that there has been no recent seismic activity in this area. At least none that's caused any damage to anything.
Okay.
Like no surface damage, right? Like you don't see any of the buildings, like the tall buildings that would have collapsed if there had been recent seismic activity. None of those are damaged. You don't see any like tree lines that have been moved in any way or broken down, because it would leave like gashes right in the land if there were tree lines that were broken. But you don't see any of that. No, it appears that from your binoculars and your vantage point, which is pretty high, like you have a good view of most of the city except for like inside the government complex, obviously. It appears that there has been no seismic activity in the area.
Okay. And from here, is there any way I can tell what that area over here was?
Yeah. Okay, so I think that your 8 will get you there with intelligence. I think that you can determine it may be a power plant of some sort.
Okay.
Like some type of industrial size power / generator. And you could probably tell based on like the like you see like a bunch of like wires and stuff coming from it. Some of them are like, you can see some of them run directly to the government complex, and then some of them run from there to the spaceport. There's not a whole lot of branches, though, very minimal branches, but the minimal branches that are to those lighted areas. And that's probably how you determine that it is a power plant of some kind. But it's big, like it's massive. It's probably one of the biggest power plants you've ever seen. And you could probably reasonably make the determination that a power plant that size could power a lot more than what it's doing right now.
Got it. So again, as I'm on the roof, communicating with, pass that along to Boomer.
Absolutely.
Boomer's taking all these notes, and he's doing a detailed analysis of what the infrastructure looks like, what the power needs look like, the way of what the government complex looks like versus how the civilians are being treated, and the amount of security upon coming in. Just notating all this down so we can actually get a good read on what the infrastructure and stability of the region is. As well, as soon as the equipment is finished running its checks, I'm going to give the nav comp to Oscar so he can go around with Wong.
Cool. No, so that's great, actually. When you once you've gathered, or once Boomer has gathered what he thinks he's able from that, I mean, I expect he's going to continue working on it while Oscar is gone, but Oscar kind of leans into him and says, I have a favor to ask you.
Okay, Boomer looks up at him, not stopping in his current typing.
Yeah.
Just kind of expectantly.
He says, I know there are Sriek here. Could you prioritize Natalie's information or Natalia's information over this? But
I'm just
if you come across any details,
stop him.
yeah. Okay, yeah, sure.
I got it. And
yeah,
just that, that you don't have to really say anymore. I have a good idea what I'm going to accomplish. It's sure I can do this for it.
And I give him a in particular I give whoops, Discord just freaked out on me for a second.
Oh, you sound fine. You didn't drop or anything.
Yeah. I give Boomer a name, and the name the name I want him to pay attention to in particular is the Tortek family, and I'll type that in chat. If Boomer comes up with any mention of this family, that's what Oscar wants to know about.
Done.
Cool.
And then I guess he would just say, thank you, quietly, take the nav comp, and then get on his compad to flag back down Wong.
Yeah, so I think you call Wong, and when, he answers, right, and, he goes, hello? And in the background you can hear, very loud music going on. It sounds like kind of a little bit probably there's a very it's blah 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 blah. It's very beady. It's very poof, 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 kind of club music-esque sound. But he answers.
Yeah. He says
that kitty.
Hold on. Let me
Aw, kitty, no.
I'll just wait for Jordan to go discipline his cat and then continue.
All right, fixed. We're good.
Great. So Oscar says into his compad, he's like, Wong, this is the armature. Please meet me out front.
He goes, oh, robot, yes! I come right there now. I be there, and you see him, you probably hear something fumble, and then you hear the shattering of glass, and he goes, I be there 5 minutes.
Sure. Oscar just hangs up, goes to meet him outside.
Sure, right. Yeah, so again, 5 minutes later, you hear him before you see him. You hear the car basically drifting around turns as he comes up. But as he comes up, he kind of accidentally rides up on the curb, and you have to take a step back. And so his car is two of his tires are on the curb. And you see him, he's kind of leaning all the way back, and one eye is open and one eye is closed. And he looks and he goes, what you want, robots?
I would like a tour. Can you take me... What do you like about the city? Can you just give me the full runaround?
Yeah. So he kind of looks at you, and he closes he opens his other eye that was closed and closes his eye that was open, and he looks at you.
So onto that, Oscar says, every place I travel, I like to see as much as I can. I'm making a database in my head, or something
Sure.
like that,
Sure.
It's a robot thing. You wouldn't understand.
Right. I think he goes, okay, robot, you get in. I do one thing first. And he opens the door, like, but you're standing right in front of it. So, like, again, you have to, like, take a few steps to the side so the door doesn't hit you. And he gets out of the vehicle and he takes a few steps, and then he just vomits into the bushes, like, right next to you. And I think maybe at this point you realize he's hammered. And yeah.
I give you the rest of my Lazarus patches and say good luck.
Right, yeah. He's hammered.
Oscar's teleportation equalizes velocity. Let's just reestablish that.
Sure.
If Wong crashes, Oscar is probably going to be okay still.
Sure.
Yeah, Oscar politely waits for him to finish and gets into the car.
So he gets up and like he puts his hand on like the pillar that you were standing next to, and he's like, "Oh, too much sake." He just looks at you like that after that comment.
Oscar, just standing there patiently. He said, and he asks, "Are you ready?"
He goes, "Question, robot. You drive car before?"
Oh God.
My security protocol doesn't permit for it, but perhaps I could make an exception.
He goes, "Psh, protocol. Another big word, robot."
So I guess Oscar just walks around to the driver's side.
Sure.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he gets in the back.
Cool.
And he goes, "Robot, take me home." And he lays down in the back seat.
Okay, yeah, Oscar is going to go for... He is going to... How much gas does this car have? Does it even have gas, or is it like...
It uses...
methane power?
Right,
It's currently running off Wong.
Right, yeah. I think that fuel in this setting, even in this particular part of the plan, is a non-issue.
Okay. Yeah. So if Wong is passed out in the backseat, Oscar's just gonna, go for a joyride and see what he can get away with. Like, he's gonna pay attention to whatever may look like security outposts, so to speak.
Sure.
But he's going.
Yep.
He's gonna see what he can possibly collect.
You have the vehicle, and whenever Wong wakes up, that may cause problems, but I'm sure you'll be able to deal with him, robot.
Yeah.
So I think we go back to Gogo. So Gogo, what are you doing in your room?
Well, I think that after she took a nap, recovered, I think that she would, if Boomer was still in the boys' room, I think you'd hear the unlock of the door.
Boys' room.
And I think she would walk in and go sit down next to him and just kind of like look at all of his computer screens and be like, "So, what'd you find out so far, computer man?"
And Boomer, being used to this, would just not take his eyes off any of the screens and just start explaining, "Well, we've got this and this and this is going on. We've also got this. The takeout menu's there on the table. As well, we've also found this and this."
Margot stops and she's like, "That's what I wanted." She stands up and walks over to the table because, he knows what she wanted. And she would find it and more so looking at, does this takeout menu have a tiny map on it?
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen any hotel takeout menu ever?
Well, that's what I mean.
It has a list of locations and then has a map that's like a partial Google Maps image.
Yes, exactly. Perfect.
And it has a big star that covers about half of it that says "You are here," and it's not really clear exactly which point of the star you're actually at. And it also covers like the immediate vicinity. But yeah, no, totally has one.
Okay, so I'd look at this and I'd kind of toss it to Boomer and be like, "Figure out if there's more restaurants around this area or if it's just this one."
at that point, you just kind of like glance up at her. It's like, I've already printed this out for you.
Right, sure.
Well, you could have just told me where it was.
I thought you'd want the menu first.
True. So where is it?
Just handing her like a stack of papers.
Right.
She kind of looks at you like, really? And then like takes the stack and starts flipping through it. Basically what Margot's trying to find is kind of like the downtown district where, you know, the working people go to eat and or probably where Wong just came from, but yeah.
Yeah. So I think that area is very clearly on this map already. And I think that I just need to find a good color. Yellow's a good color.
This area over here?
Yep, right there.
Where all the lights are?
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be red light district.
Perfect.
Because what else to call it? And we'll change that color to yellow. Perfect. Red light district.
So Oscar's going for some takeout and hookers. or
No,
Margot.
Gogo's going for some takeout and hookers.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think once that was determined,
Hey, whatever. She just got paid. She can do whatever she
I
pleases.
think,
She's going to get food and bring Fortune back some hookers.
well,
There
okay,
you go.
so Margot would turn to
Suddenly, I'm very happy
Boomer.
with 2 separate rooms.
and just be like, so are you coming or should I go see if Arthur wants to?
I think Arthur's on the roof, and then going back.
I think it's probably like a perfect time for Arthur just to walk in the room, right? Because all your stuff was done like prior to, like that was the preliminary stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you totally could just be like walking in the room right now.
Yeah.
So if you walk in, Margot's like, well, speak of the devil.
Yes.
Red light district, you in?
Yes.
Let's go.
Sure.
I love the hesitation. Yes.
I think that Margot would kind of take all the papers and like place them down on top of all of Boomer's computers and then just walk out.
Be that moment of what? How did these?
Like right on his little compad that he's typing on, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know.
On the way out the door, I would definitely tell Boomer, I said, hey, just keep your compad on. I'll give you updates on what I find, so you can input the information.
Wait, people turn them off?
Just saying. Don't let your battery die. That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
As you say that, the lights flicker in the room.
Yeah,
Currently
exactly.
Boomer's pulling more power into this room than probably the entire rest of the hotel.
And this is why I bought spare A batteries.
Yep, exactly. Cool.
If
So you
only
guys-
we had found a telekinetic generator.
If only. So you guys head over to the red light district, and yeah. So what is what's the goal here, Gogo? You're kind of in charge of this one.
I think Gogo would just honestly want to insert herself into the general populace as best she can with how weird she looks.
Insert.
Hilarious. And just try to get a feel for what these people's daily life is like and try to see if, you know, earthquakes is a normal thing for them or if not, and kind of go from there. Although I think that she would probably ask Fortune, obviously, if she saw him come from the roof on the drive there, be like, hey, what did you see?
I again pass all information that I give to Boomer.
Yeah, sure.
To put it simply.
Info dump. Also, info dumps
Yeah.
are powered by methane in this world as well.
Everything.
Cool. Yeah.
So
you
I'm
get all
just
that.
looking for
So,
a place to do that.
Yeah, I think you have a couple of options, and you Gogo. This is kind of your gig, right? So you can kind of identify. Would you like a local place? Would you like a tourist place? Or would you like a seedy place?
Let's start with local.
Sure. Cool. So I think you get over to the local place, which is a noodle shop. It's actually a noodle stand,
Yes,
right?
noodle ramen, yes.
Yeah, and it's busy. It's like the only busy like on a row of all kinds of different like stuff. It's busy because all locals go there, right?
It's that one.
Right, exactly. It's that big one with the light on it. And it's in Cantonese, so you guys can't read it. but it's clearly like a noodle shop.
I kind of, sort of can, maybe.
Right, maybe you know a word. Maybe you know noodle. Like, that's the
Perfect,
word.
yeah.
That's the word you know in Cantonese.
You can tell me, well, every single one of the items on the menu is a noodle.
Right, yeah, it's
something
noodle.
Something noodle.
Something noodle, right, exactly. So you guys enter in, and it's busy. And it's there's a bit of commotion. Like, it seems like a pretty happening place. Probably the liveliest you've seen any other place like here, right? Like, everything else has been kind of
and people
despot.
who are kind of not, like middle class people,
right?
Because
So
I haven't seen anybody else other than poor people.
So it's actually a mix of. There's clearly like some security guys, like some off-duty, like maybe military guys in here. There's clearly like a family or two with like little kids like running around the table, like throwing noodles at each other or whatever. Because this is, I mean, they're still not proper, right?
Yeah, sure.
There's a couple of there's probably a couple of like what appear to be like homeless people who are like come in, and they're like the people that are there are like giving them the noodles that they don't finish or whatever. And there's a couple of people like actually working in here. It's a mix of pretty much every. It's a melting pot. That's the word I want. It's a melting pot of all the different classes and professions, and there's clearly the working class and clearly the business class. Like there's probably like a table with like 3 guys in suits that actually fit them. That are like eating noodles and clearly like discussing business or whatever. Probably government employees, if you had to guess. But yeah, there's a mix of everything in here, which may seem a bit strange, like at the first glance, right? Because like in a society like this, typically the poor are the poor and the rich are the rich, and they don't mix, right? Like there's
not around good food though, right? It's always
right.
Good
So
food that brings everybody in.
Maybe it's because it's the local place, or maybe maybe something else. Who knows?
It's the noodles.
It's the noodles, obviously.
I would be one just to make it the noodles, yes.
So I assume it's kind of like a noodle bar, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. You go up and you order, and then you go find a seat, and then.
Yeah. Okay. You know how there's sometimes like row seating where it's just a bunch of people who maybe don't have enough people to sit with them at a full table?
Yep.
So like they just kind of sit there. Are there two stools up there?
Absolutely. There's a counter service. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
You guys could totally go do that.
I think we would kind of muscle our way in there and just kind of have a seat. Who's on either side of us?
I think that probably on one side of you is clearly like a working class guy. Probably on your side, Go. It's like a working class guy. He's a little bit more built, like muscular. So maybe like a laborer of some sort, construction or road work, or who knows, something like that. And then I think on the other side of you, Fortune, there's probably it's probably a young couple that are clearly like on a date, and they look lower middle class. But they've dressed to look upper middle class. Like, they're out on a fancy date.
They're trying to impress each other.
Yep, exactly.
Or
it's some type of like anniversary or event or something.
Yeah, celebration.
Celebration. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah.
So I think what Margot would do is she would sit down, and I assume they're using some sort of chopsticks.
Yeah,
yes?
Of course.
All right, so clearly she is not going to blend in, right? Like there's
neither
very
of you
little,
are.
Right? Exactly. So she's going to kind of play that up a little bit, and she's going to start to struggle with the poor chopsticks and just not be able to do it, and see if some lovely man would help her.
Roll me a luck save.
Okay.
That's when Fortune leans over and says, "Here, I can show you how to do that."
Right. Exactly.
Gee, thanks.
Thanks. She hits him.
Domestic abuse.
Drum roll, please.
No.
No? Yes?
What did I need to put? Hold on. It doesn't work. What did I...
You don't need to put in anything. If you put in if you put in the number that your luck save is, which for you it should be a
14.
14? No, 13. Oh no, that's warrior. Sorry. 14. You should put a 14 in the luck save.
Oh, okay.
column,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Just click the roll button. Ooh.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
So yeah,
I'm gonna reroll. I'm gonna reroll.
Only reroll skill checks.
Sad. Okay.
so yeah, I do lean over and say I can help you with that.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I think a 2 is much worse than that. So I think that you're struggling, and I think that one of the like security soldier guys, I think Fortune, you probably see this, but obviously you can't stop it in time because you failed really miserably. You see one of the guys, and he kind of like elbows his buddy, and he does like the watch this symbol, and he goes over, and I think he just like kind of sidles up next to you, Margot, and he says, "Here, baby, let me help you with that." And he just breaks them apart for you and hands them to you.
Margot looks him kind of right in the eye and just goes, "Well, no, that wasn't very nice."
He goes, "Yeah." So I think he looks and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Was I inconsiderate? Allow me to make it up to you. I promise I'll be better."
Margot envisions in her head
Yeah.
taking the hot soup and just like putting it straight into this guy's face.
I think you should do that.
But instead,
Somewhere,
but no, wait, no.
Oscar
but
is
instead,
just getting more worried
she
about.
leans over and like kind of puts her head on Fortune's shoulder and says, "Don't worry, I've got someone to help me."
And he goes, "Oh, so it's a party."
Oh man.
Do you say anything, Fortune?
Yeah, Fortune, do you interject at this point?
Nope.
Yeah, and I think that he says, "Oh, it's a party." He's like, "I've got some friends too. Maybe we could all join in." And he kind of like looks over at the table and like does the head nod to the boys.
I'm like looking away with my hand over my mouth, like laughing, but trying not to show them that I'm laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about all the reaction I can do at the moment.
So what does Go-Go do?
She kind of looks at him and goes, "No, that won't be necessary. You can go along, go back to your table."
He's like, but I don't really want to. I mean, I helped you out, so now you got to help me out. That's how this works.
Margot goes,
I think now I've contained myself. And I turn over and said, "You can go on now, but you can go ahead and go back to your table."
He goes, "Yeah, but I'm done with my noodles, and I hear she's got some noodles she'd like to share with me."
I don't think that's what she said. I'm gonna go to jail.
Really? That's
No. Okay, so Margot says, "Oh, these noodles," and takes the noodles from the guy next to her and hands them to him.
okay. So I think the guy next to you like turns towards you and he's like, "Hey, those were my noodles."
And I said, "Yeah, this guy wanted them."
He's like, he looks at the guy and he nods at the guy and he says, "Enjoy, sir." And he turns around and he just totally turns away from the situation. And so I think that the guard guy, he says, "Oh, well, thank you very much, very much." In
Margot
fact,
says, "Great, now you have some noodles. Go eat them."
So I think he turns to the guy who like allowed him to take his noodles, and he goes, "Hey, my friends over there would like you to go join them." And you see the guy like turn around and his shoulders go up and his head goes down a little bit, and he just nods. He doesn't say anything, and he gets up from his seat and goes and sits down with the guards over there. And one of them like puts an arm around him, and he's very uncomfortable, but he wasn't going to like refuse. And I think the guy takes a seat next to you.
Of course he does.
And he like takes his chopsticks and he breaks them, and looking at you the whole time, he takes some of the noodles and he just
I think that Margot, oh man, I really don't want to die. Margot takes the noodles, just slides them in front of him, and she's already at the bar, just kind of orders a new order of them.
Okay.
So we're learning where the military places on this planet.
Yeah. So I think that
Valuable information.
I think that that's probably a good place to end for the night, with this guy sloppily slurping noodles in the direction of Margot.
And literal fire in her eyes.
So,
and Fortune behind her just laughing.
Yeah, and then we get the montage shot of like that's happening, and then we get the montage shot of like Oscar's driving around in the car, like with his he's trying to get signal with like the thing out the window, like above, like reaching in different directions, and
cars
like,
honking at him super loudly.
Yeah,
you just get a clip of Oscar like whipping around a corner with Wong hanging out the window vomiting.
Yep, exactly. He's just
like
projectile vomiting.
Yeah,
all over the street.
Oscar's got the scanner held out one side.
Yeah.
Wong's hanging out the other, just like a trail of vomit streaking behind the car.
Yep. And then we switch over to Boomer, who's sitting in the thing, and so you've gotten into like the system, right? Like the network. And it was fairly easy to get into. You didn't even need to roll for it. And I think that as you're like typing along, like, you know, collecting data, that secondary search that you were trying to do, it pops up with a file. How do you say that again? The Tortec, and it's just blinking at you. Do you click on it?
Yes.
Cool. And I think that you get this file, it just like starts scanning like real slow down, and we see, as the audience, we see the file scanning slow down, and then I think that right like at the header, we see a bunch of like blacked out lines, like you know, classified lines, but then we see one phrase, we see Shushu Group, and then cut to black.
Yeah.
Cool.
Boomer did a thing.
Yay.
Go-Go and Fortune are about to go to jail.
Yeah, probably.
No, you're lucky because freaking Margot is containing herself. She could easily cut this guy, but she didn't. So.
I really don't think that interaction is over.
Oh, it's not.
Of course, it's not.
I'm just out of time, but you know.
Yeah.
I give you a week to think about it.
Jordan needs a week to think about what he's gonna do to you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some ideas, but yeah, that'd be.
I love how I was just trying to eat some noodles in this place.
You rolled a 2.
Come on.
If you had passed the luck save.
Oh, I think you signed. Come on.
If you passed the luck save, then the worker guy would have turned next to you, and you would have gotten all the information you ever wanted. You can still get all the information you ever wanted.
I can't believe he didn't help me out. I totally tossed him that one to be like, yeah, dude, just back off.
In front of the soldier. He doesn't want to go to jail.
Whatever.
It's also lunchtime. He's got a shift to get back to soon. Cool.
He's got to make quotas. If he hasn't arrested somebody by lunch, he's in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So, experience. Everybody's still level 1, yeah?
I'm halfway.
Oh, I think I forgot to add what we got last session.
You would have gotten 187 again.
Okay.
Which, surprisingly, is how much everyone's going to get today. 187 additional experience just for showing up. Thanks, guys. Awesome.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too.
Yeah, that was pretty solid.
Again, no combat, but see, that's a good thing, right? Like, you don't really want combat in Stars Without
We don't want to die yet.
Unfortunately, the one combat situation that seems to be blossoming is
Go cutting this guy, but that's fine.
Outside of Oscar's knowledge and reach.
Yeah. I mean, you still have the compads. You could totally call each other, but I don't think Go-Go is going to have time to do that. Fortune might want to send the distress call at some point. But you could still defuse the situation.
Yeah, I mean, Oscar is just like screaming around the city. Taxi
Go-Go.
Wait, all I envision is at one point while all this is happening, this crazy taxi
you just
flies
see the taxi
by the noodle place, and I'm like, wait, was that? And then, like,
I would God, I would really like to make some sort.
Please make that happen, please. And that's what diffuses the situations. We're all just like, what the fuck is the taxi doing?
The soldiers have to go out and chase the taxi.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what is happening? This is a disturbance.
Yeah.
I know it's the end of session, but I really want to make like a luck set to see.
I think maybe we'll do that the first thing.
Yeah, first thing
next session to see if you are in the area and happen to distract the guards. Cool.
Lead them on a wild goose chase while we just link out the back.
Absolutely. Cool.
Well,
we'll see.
Good session.
Yeah.
And
Indeed.
I will see you guys next Sunday. I promise I will be on time next Sunday.
I'm gonna meet you guys real quick, but I'll be back if anyone wants to chat. I'll be on for a little bit.
GG.
Hello, stream. Thank you all for showing up. I had a lot of fun today. I hope you guys had a lot of fun today. Move everybody back to this screen. Boom, ba boom. Hope you guys had a lot of fun today. I had a lot of fun today. Come back and see us again. We'll be playing Sundays, 5 p.m. We should be live on the 10th of July at 5 p.m. From all of us to you, have a wonderful night. And don't forget, also, catch Siege on the 8th. 8th of July, 6 p.m. EST. Siege of the Empire. If you're into Dungeons & Dragons and fantasy, not so much the sci-fi stuff, come check us out. We have a lot of fun on that one. The group is currently in the middle of a giant party that they threw, and we'll see how they can mess it all up, because that's what happens. Anyway, take care. See y'all later.